I'd like to welcome everyone and open up tonight's Davie County School Board meeting. The first item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. I have a motion, Mr. Fuller, and a second by Ms. Owens. All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Next item on the agenda is entertain a motion to go into closed session to preserve the attorney-client privilege pursuant to the North Carolina general statutes listed on our agenda and to discuss personnel and property matters protected by state law and to discuss student matters made confidential by general statutes and FERPA. I have a motion by Mr. Potts, second by Mr. Drexler. All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. We are in closed session. I would like to reconvene the December 4th Davie County School Board meeting and welcome you guys. We got a big crowd tonight, and we will get started. First item on the agenda is the invocation. Loving and gracious God, I thank you today for all your blessings, for the successful outcomes of our school events, and for all our staff members. I ask that you bless them abundantly, and we continue to seek your wisdom, guidance, courage, and strength. Be with us in our deliberations and help us to be wise in the decisions we make for the good of all those who have placed their trust and confidence in us. Give us insight to lead with integrity, that our decisions may reflect what is right and good. Keep us from short-sightedness and pettiness. Help us to make decisions that are good for all and guard us from blind self-interest. Dear Lord, grant us the humility to always seek your will in all that we do and say. Today I thank you for this board, past, present, and future. Thank you for their willingness to serve. I thank you for Darren Hartness and what he has brought to this community. I ask for blessings on his future, and I ask that you please guide us in our search to find the right person to lead us on the continued path of success. Amen. Next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're being led by Girl Scout Troop 2580.
Pledge to the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our regular meeting, November 13th, 2018. I have a motion by Ms. Owens. I have a second by Colonel Hills. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Next item on the agenda is a recognition of the board. And before I do that, if the board will allow me, before we excuse Chad Fuller and Barbara Owens, we'll make them sit there for just a little bit longer. Not only are we recognizing them, but earlier we had an event here where we were recognizing Dr. Hartness. And I just, as a board, I just want to spend a minute to recognize him and allow the board to say anything. For a man that has changed this community for many, many years to come. His leadership style, everything that he does and says, his honesty, the integrity, just everything. He was sent here for a reason, and that was to change a lot of people's lives, and I say that he did that. So, moving forward, I just want to give you guys a chance if anybody wanted to say anything, and Dr. Hartness as well. It's open, if anybody.
I'd like to say something.
Please.
First thing is, with regard to Dr. Hartness, I've been on the board 2 years now, and it's Dr. Hartness that has taught me so much during the previous 2 years. He is a man of strong character. He's a fine gentleman, and he's going to be hard to replace. There's no doubt in my mind about that. So we do wish him the very best. I wish you the very best for you and your family. To the outgoing board members, let me also, I told them just prior, I said, we've allocated 20 minutes per person, and they're face flushed. It's been a pleasure to serve with you, Chad, and with you too, Barbara. And unlike us, me, these two went through the long building of the new high school for Davie County, and the endless hours that they put into that, to making sure that we stayed where we needed to be as far as budget, to making sure that things, along with Dr. Hartness, were going like they should have been going, and the timetable to finish that. So I can't imagine the extent of all the time that they did put in, but I'm smart enough to know I certainly appreciate it, and I think all of you do too. So for both of you, we're going to wish you well. We're going to miss you on the board. You've been a strong part of the board. And I also understand that each one of them got 10 years on the board. So wow with that. So with that, that's all I got to say.
Darren, we're gonna miss you. I guess if I think of one thing about Darren, if you were to look up in the dictionary a leader, I think his picture would be there. He leads this organization well. He leads this board well to the extent that you're to do, and he leads in this community well. It's been an honor and a privilege to work with you, but I know we're not done. We're going to be able to work together more, but I just want to thank you. You've done so much for this community and for us, for our kids, and we're so glad that you're not moving too far down the road. So, and Chad and Barbara, we're always going to have this thread between those of us who've been on this journey for the last few years. There were some hard times, but I think we can all look back and be very proud of what we accomplished together. And I am honored to be able to say that we accomplished that together. So I know y'all are going to enjoy your time. I'm sure you'll find something to fill your time. But I want to thank you both for your service as well. So.
This is the kind of situation where everybody wants to speak first because all the things are said becomes redundant, and I certainly would just echo a lot of these comments and from a personal standpoint say thank you to Dr. Hartness. I consider you not only an outstanding leader but a great professional friend, and even though I wasn't on the board when you were going through the trials of whether to build a school or not build a school, I know that you were out there doing a lot of hard work, and you'll be able to see the reaps of the reward for many, many years. Most schools are still in operation 50 years down the road. So, and to my neighbor Barbara and to Chad, thank you so much. I don't see either one of you as finishing your service to Davie County, because that's just your nature, that you're sort of born to serve, and I think you'll continue to do that. Maybe not on the Board of Education for the next 2 years, but I think you'll be plenty active in the community, and thank you again for what you've already done.
First, for Dr. Hartness, most of the people on the board have heard this, but I will say to you, thank you for your service. There's no way that anybody can doubt that you're not in it 100% for the student outcomes. Thank you for that. And then second, this is what the board already knows, I've said this before. If any of you have any cause that you need somebody to champion for you, to get behind and push, if that man believes in it, you can't find somebody better to promote an idea than what he did for this county. Thank you. That was an admirable job of the way you did what you did. And for Chad and Barbara, I learned a lot from both of you for the last 6 years. They were both on the board when I came on the board, so I started learning from both of you from the get-go. Thank you very much for what you taught me and us. And for any of you that are looking, they are joining in a partnership called Fuller Owens Consultants. And just so you know, they're going to be cheap, but they're not free.
I appreciate all the kind words. Thank you. And I wanted to say to Dr. Hartness, I really appreciate your leadership in this community. I'm with Clint. It was absolutely no accident that you came to Davie County. Thankful that you did. And I appreciate the friendship. Thank you.
Always the closing. I've already started that. I'm sorry. Several years ago, we stood in a dirt cornfield with shovels in our hands. It took 12 years to get there. Out of those 12, seven or eight of those years, Dr. Hartness was a major part. Because when we were interviewing for a new superintendent, we knew what the challenges were. To have a gentleman who stood and took the high road always, who had his head held high always, who always had a solution no matter what was thrown at him or us as a board, always positive, always moving forward, building those partnerships. Dr. Hartness, to you, I say thank you. On that day, at the closing, we released balloons. And I referred to a song, and I didn't sing it. It's called You Are My Hero, and you've been the wind underneath our wings. Thank you. Okay. Whew. I've been in school since the first grade, and I'm the oldest one on the board. Terry gets to take over that seat for me, and I really do appreciate it. In the 10 years I have been on the board members that I've had the opportunity to work with and learn from, Carl Lamberth and Carol Livengood, Steve Reidenhire, Terry Reniger, Rick Ellis, Linda Barnett, Doug Potts, Terry Hales, Paul Drexler, Wendy Horn, and Clint and Chad. Each of these people brought something to the table. They brought a vision for our county, a vision that they stuck to, a vision that they believed in. And I can honestly say they took the high road. The high road, taking the high road, is something that Chad and I have believed in from day one. And everyone on this board, you kept the high road. In Davie County, we keep the high road. And when we do, great things happen. And in the past 10 years, I have seen so many wonderful things happen. I've seen partnerships renewed. I've seen things happen for the children of Davie County. We should be proud as a community. And to each of you, I say thank you. Thank you for allowing us to have this experience. Chad and I have talked, and we started not to come tonight because it's hard. It's hard. But we feel very blessed to have new people coming onto the board. We know you'll do a great job. And that's the first I heard about us having a partnership.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's good. This is the Advent season, and during the Advent season, we focus on hope and peace and joy and love. And to each of you, I wish that. to all of you and your families. And thank you for teaching me so much. Thank you and bless you.
And I want to take the liberty, if this is our time to speak, I've got just one other, couple other things to say. I'd like to first thank the voters for giving me the opportunity to serve. And it has been a pleasure, an honor to serve on this board, to work with so many, not only these board members, and Dr. Hartness, but there are so many professionals in the school system. And I say it all the time, Davie County has a great school system, and it is because of the people. And you're just professional, passionate about your job. If you weren't, the money's not that great, I know a lot of times, but if you weren't, I know you wouldn't be here. And but I am very proud to live in this community and to have had a small part in what's went on here in Davie County for the last in Davie County schools for the last few years. It's been an honor to work with everyone.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'll have some other comments during my report, but I want to say thank you to Chad and Barbara. The friendships that we've had will be a lifetime. Both of you, during your term, served as chair. We went through some interesting times, but you really modeled leadership, and you modeled what school board members supposed to do and ought to do. And on behalf of our leadership team and the staff in Davie County Schools, we sincerely thank you for your service and know that you'll always be supporting children's education in Davie County. So thank you.
And for 10 years of service, Chad and I were talking about earlier, the first 4 years of that was probably more like 10 and by themselves. It's like, I think it's like dog years. But for 10 to 15 years, let's say, for 10 years of service, you get a wonderful plaque. So. Somebody guard the door. Don't let them leave. Next item on the agenda is the swearing in of the newly elected board members.
So we could call Mr. Junker and Ms. Lori and Mr. Carroll forward.
And is it on? I'll say it in short sentences, so don't worry, okay? Left hand on, there you go. Say I and repeat your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that I will faithfully discharge my duties as a member of the Davie County Board of Education. So help me God. Thank you very much. I need y'all to sign.
welcome. I'm glad you're on the board. Excited about moving forward. Paul, you're getting closer to me. It is scary. Next item on the agenda is the election of chair and vice chair. And for chair, I'll turn it over to Jill Wilson.
I guess I should go where I can see. Board members, I will open the floor for nomination for the position of chair.
Ms. Wilson, crowd, I'd like to make a nomination for Clint Junker to continue as our chair.
There's been a nomination for Mr. Junker. Is there another nomination? Is there a motion that nominations be closed? All right, and is there a second? All those in favor of nominations be closed, please say aye. All those in favor of Mr. Junker remaining as chair, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed other than Clint? It's all yours now, Clint.
It's too late to say anything. Thank you. I cannot believe it's been a year. And it's like a lot of things, the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. So I will continue to do the best I can to lead in a great group that we have. So I'm very excited as we move forward. Next is to open the floor for nominations for vice chair.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to move that we consider Mrs. Horn to continue on in the role of vice chair, particularly because she's well qualified. She's willing to do it. We're going to be going through a lot of changes in the next year, and I personally would like to see us have some consistency in our leadership, and so I would like to nominate Ms. Wendy Horn for the position of vice chair for the next year.
Thank you. Any more nominations? Motion to close nominations. Move. Second? Has a second? All those in favor? Close the nomination. Okay. All those in favor of Ms. Horn staying on as vice chair? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Next item on the agenda is important dates. And I will call out a couple. December 5th, which is tomorrow, believe it or not, at 4 p.m., we have a tour set up for the new Davie County field house out at the football field. And that starts at 4 p.m. tomorrow. December 10th, the socials start. We have a Davie County School drop-in holiday social at Southside Baptist Church from 4 to 6. December 14th, the P-TECH celebration breakfast at UNC Greensboro. We get right into January, believe it or not. Christmas is here, whether you're ready or not.
It is.
Yeah.
Who's going to that P-TECH so we can ride together? Is there any?
I'm not sure if who's signed up for that. Do you have anyone?
Not on this one.
Okay. Thank you.
You can ride. Y'all
welcome.
can ride together. Thank you for going. Let's see. Next item on the agenda is our superintendent's report. And for the last time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Hartness.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try not to make this too sappy, and I'll try to stop my emotions. But first thing I want to say is congratulate Lori Smith and David Carroll on being elected to the board. What an honor it is. I congratulate both of you on your new roles. I'll tell you, I've worked in 4 school districts in North Carolina, and this is by far the best board I've ever worked with, the best school system I've ever worked with. So it's an honor. I challenge both of you to keep your focus on what is best for students. You'll have a lot of people giving you plenty of advice. Set good policy for this school system and select the next superintendent who will share your values and keep a focus on students. And this school system will be on the right path. I want to congratulate also Chairman Junker on his reelection and his oath tonight. I appreciate your service, Clint, as chairman, but most of all, I thank you for modeling what it means to be a good man. And you've taught me a lot and made me a better person, and for that, we'll always have a lifelong friendship. Tonight is my last board meeting as your superintendent, and I wanted to spend just a couple minutes reflecting on my tenure the last 7.5 years in this seat. It has truly been an honor and a privilege to serve as your superintendent. Been absolutely the best time in my career in K-12. When I first arrived in July of 2011, Mary Ruth brought me this book. If you haven't seen this book, go to the public library, and this is the history of Davie County schools through about 2010. And I started reading through this book and had a lot of interest in what brought our district to where we are. And I started to realize the many sacrifices that have been made to make Davie County schools what it is today. And I looked at the history, and in 1839, there were 7 school districts in Davie County, and all 7 had their own superintendent. And since 1883, there had been 18 school superintendents. And I started thinking about and reflecting on what was life as a superintendent in those different eras of history in Davie County and in our state, in our nation. And I began thinking about what will my tenure hold? And what will the district look like at the end of my tenure? I didn't know how long I would make it in Davie, quite honestly. The first little while was rocky. And the average tenure of a superintendent is about 3 years. And I saw in this book that there were 2 former superintendents who died while they were in office. So I began to be concerned about my fate. But what I saw is a community coming together, and the integration of beliefs and different values and ideas. We overcome some very strong resistance, some vindictive behaviors at times, but we overcame those with facts and with truth and with a focus on what really matters, and that's our students and our future. So we've come a long way together as a community, and for that I am grateful, and I've grown as an individual. So I have a lot of people to thank. First, I'll start with our students, because they are the core of what our business is. They're the reason that we exist, and thank you, students, for inspiring me to be an advocate for you every day. I've watched so many of our students grow over the last 7.5 years. I've watched them walk across the stage at graduation. I've watched them go to college. And this morning was one of those times where I just kind of got a kick in the gut, because one of our former students walked in my office. We hired her this year. Sydney Autry walked in and she started talking to me about her work as a social worker in Davie County schools. She just got out of college. She told me all the things she was doing to help a young lady who had been through a very traumatic experience. And I thought, full circle, one of our students, one of now our employees, giving back and living in this community. That's what this is really about. I want to thank this board. Each of you have had a unique impact on my life and career. Chad and Barbara were the last members of the board who originally hired me in 2011. And I have seen over the last 7.5 years this board get better and better every year. So Lori and David, don't mess it up. Okay? I want to thank our executive leadership team. I could not have worked with a better team of people who take risk, who give me honest feedback and not what I want to hear, and it's often brutal at times. But we work in an atmosphere of trust and mutual respect, and I've learned so much from each of you, and I thank you. This district is in great hands, folks. I want to thank Elle. She's done a great job organizing our office, supporting me and supporting this board. She does so many things in our office you'd never know. I want to thank our principals, the many of who are here tonight, our administrators, staff, teachers. You guys make it happen every day. Thank you to those in our community who have supported our work. Thank you to my mentors, Dr. Steed, Dr. Coble, Dr. Moore, for their wise counsel. And you know, I come to work every day to support my family, but they're the ones who support me. So, Lisa, Madison, Molly, thank you for your sacrifices you made to allow me to work with others, to serve others. So I get to tell Lisa now she doesn't have to worry about other people telling her things that she hopes, they hope that she will come home and tell me. And she'll no longer have to get text and phone calls and questions asking if we're on a delay, dismissing early, or canceling school. But as I reflect, I look back over the numerous things that we've accomplished over the last 7 years, and I'm proud of the investments that have been made in the future of our generations. My children never had the opportunity to experience the new high school. My children never benefited from the investments in early childhood education. But our students today and tomorrow will. Our investments are paying off. I shared with several people today and at Rotary, the Department of Commerce ranks all 100 counties in North Carolina. And last week, they re-ranked our counties, and they look at population growth, they look at unemployment rate, they look at median household income, they look at property tax base per citizen, and they put counties in North Carolina, all 100, in 3 tiers. Tier 1 counties are the 40 most distressed counties of North Carolina. Then they put 40 more counties in Tier 2. And then there's 20 counties in Tier 3. And that's the category for the highest ranking counties according to their economic well-being. The first time since the state has started ranking counties like that, Davie County is ranked now number 16 in North Carolina as a Tier 3 county. So this ranking is used in a lot of ways for grants and for dividing money across the state. But what it means is that, folks, we live in one of the 20 most blessed counties in North Carolina. So our investments are paying off. In the book that contains all the answers to life's questions, King Solomon wrote, "Train up a child in the way he should go. When he is old, he will not depart from it." While I think King Solomon was talking to parents and giving advice to parents, I think about public education. I see what's going on around us, and this is not an experiment. We cannot regress. There are continued attempts to resegregate our public schools through things like charters and vouchers and the privatization of public education. But America still remains a place where every child, regardless of their race, their wealth or their poverty, their abilities or their disabilities, have a right to a free public education. Just don't ever take that for granted. What I want to leave you with is a Greek proverb. And it says, "A society grows great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they will never sit in." And I want to challenge each of you to continue to look beyond our self-interest and make decisions and investments in the best interest of all. May God bless each of you in this wonderful school system.
Ms. Horn said, "Let's just go home." Be some upset parents if we did that. Next item on the agenda is recognitions, which most of you are here for. And the first one on that list is the CPC Golf Coach of the Year. And I got Jeff Wallace.
Thank you, Chairman Junker, Dr. Hartness, and Board. Again, guests and audience, it's a pleasure to stand here before you and have the opportunity to recognize some of our student athletes. But as we've talked many times, it's imperative that we have strong leadership, as we've heard tonight. And it's an honor to be able to recognize a couple of our coaches and some of our teams and individuals. So at this time, I'd like to ask our County Athletic Director and High School Athletic Director, Mr. Mike Absher, if he would please join me here. And while he's coming, Mr. Bob Donnelly, would you come on up, please, if you would? And while we share a couple things about you, Bob. Bob is here tonight to be recognized as the Central Piedmont Conference Golf Coach of the Year. And Bob is not employed with us as an educator or anything in that capacity. But I can assure you, if you've been out on Friday nights or sometimes Thursday nights, you're going to hear Bob. You're going to see Bob involved. And again, not necessarily just repeating everything that's been said tonight, but it takes people like Bob Donnelly and his family to help make us what we are. So I want to, at this time, I would like, Coach Absher, if you will, just share a few things about Bob, and then we'll, if you want to just progress on into our next group, that will be fine as well. And I'll hand this to you.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace, Board, Dr. Hartness. It is truly an honor to be here tonight to honor Coach Donnelly. And, you know, a few years ago when we hired him, I asked him to grow our women's golf program. And, you know, we take a lot of pride at the high school to treat all our sports with, you know, the same respect that they all deserve. And he did just that. We had 3 girls at that time. He's grown it to 6. They finished 3rd in the CPC this year, qualified for the state tournament in Pinehurst, which was an amazing accomplishment. And any time you get Coach of the Year, I think it's a tremendous honor because of your peers have voted on that and decided. And as you all know, the CPC is very competitive in everything. So to get that honor, he's extremely deserving of that. He is voice of the War Eagles. He does a whole lot more for us than just coach women's golf. And, you know, you've heard it said a lot tonight. He and I have developed a great friendship, and he helps me in a lot of areas. He served as our co-president of our booster club several years ago, and I'm just really proud to be able to speak on Coach Donnelly's behalf tonight. So congratulations, Coach. At this time, we'll move forward and recognize our women's tennis team. Coach Farabee, if he'll come on up, and all of his young ladies that are with him tonight. And at this time, I'm going to let Coach Farabee speak a little bit about their accomplishments, and then I'll finish it up. Coach, congratulations.
Yeah. One last time, I'm going to tell you what to do. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for recognizing us. This is a group, it's not everyone, but this is a group that has accomplished many great things, the seniors over the last 4 years especially. This year we brought home another CPC title for the regular season. We brought home another CPC tournament title, qualified for the state playoffs once again. We had Laura Becker win the conference once again. We had Sierra and Amanda win the doubles once again. We're used to success here, and they are one of the greatest groups of athletes that have come through Davie, through all sports. And I know that's a big thing to say in football and wrestling county. But they've set nearly every team record for tennis that's in the books. Laura has set almost every, if not every, individual record. She's won the conference 3 times. She's won the Northwest region 4 times. She's made the state semifinals twice the last 2 years. She has done amazing things. She set the school record for wins. The team has set the school record for single season wins, career wins. And I think it was, after I counted individual and team titles, they brought home, in their 4 years for the seniors, the 5 seniors, have brought home 14 trophies to Davie County. And they didn't only do that by winning because they cheated to win or they did what they had to do to win. They did it the right way and it represented Davie County in the way that we expect them to do. Whether it was an easy win or whether it faced adversity, they always took the high road, they kept their head held high, and they did what they were supposed to, and they brought that class and the dignity back to Davie County.
Yeah, as you can tell, what a great group, and I get to do this piece. The seniors in this group, all 4 years, you know, we use the term student athlete, And for the last 4 years, our women's tennis team has been a scholar athlete team, which means their cumulative GPA is 3.1 or higher. And, what a great accomplishment. We use that term a lot, but to really see it come full circle, it's awesome. So they're to be congratulated for that. Last year, out of our 20 varsity sports, they had the second highest out of the 20, which, when you put fall, winter, and spring all together. So that's awesome. I wish I had time, but these young ladies dealt with a situation this year, and their leader, Coach Farabee, who I'm biased, but I feel like should have been Coach of the Year in CPC as well. But he handled it with class. It was a great lesson. We came out on the right end of it, but I think it was a great life lesson for these young ladies, and I think his leadership, the way he handled himself through it, was very good. In closing, I would just like to say one thing about Laura. It's been great to get in the car and drive to Cary or outside of Raleigh the last 4 years to watch her compete. But as good as she is on the court, she's quality off the court. And, when she lost this past October, Colin spent some time with her, and me and Mr. Nicholson did, and made it very clear to her that even though she went down, she's represented our school and the community in a very positive way. So, ladies, congratulations. Coach, congratulations. I was really excited when Colin came back a couple years ago, so hopefully we can keep him around for a little while longer. But thank you so much, and congratulations. Thank you, ladies. I know this isn't on the agenda, and hopefully you guys will accept this. Dr. Harness, thank you. This is the type of man he is. When Cody and Caleb Martin played their first game at North Carolina State University, he went with me and got in the car and drove down there and supported those two young men, and went with me in the locker room after the game, took pictures for me, and he talks about students first, but that was a great example. I appreciate the confidence you've had in me to take on some difficult tasks. I appreciate the fact that you call me at 7:30 in the morning and say, let me know how it goes at the end of the day, and it's always good when I can call back and say, you know what, you must have gotten somebody's ear because it's handled. So I appreciate that. Going through the new school, appreciate you answering my phone calls, meeting me out there whenever we had to be there. So, and again, I appreciate our personal relationship as well, but I just wanted to say thank you.
I don't know if it was said, but Laura was also recognized as the conference champion. I think you did say that. Conference player of the year as well. So it's quite an accomplishment. Next is the, believe it or not, Christmas card.
It is.
Turn it over to Dr. Hartness.
And I'll just say thank you, Mike. We're proud of you as our athletic director and coach. Not many high school coaches will get to say that they've coached two that are headed to the NBA. So proud of you. Proud of Cody and Caleb. So this is the one meeting that I just tremendously enjoy every year, because we get to invite our student artists to the meeting, and we get to announce who our holiday art contest winners are. So boys and girls who are here and parents here, here's how this will work. I'm going to call out the name of our winners for each school, and when I call out your name, if you would come and stand across the front, Ms. King is going to help us with certificates, and we'll walk through it together, okay? So congratulations to our school level winners. First from Coolamy Elementary School is Noelle Walker. Noelle, come on up. From Kernatzer Elementary School, Dashiell Denoyers. Dashiell. From Moxville Elementary School, Ethan Deemer. From Pinebrook Elementary School, Eli Chamberlain. From Shady Grove Elementary School, Ryan Goodwin. From William R. Davey Elementary School, Cameron Bullard. Central Davie Academy, Emma Denny. North Davie Middle School, Isabel Bracken. From South Davie Middle School, the winner was Mia Carrillo Chico. From William Ellis Middle School, Abby Wilson. From Davie Early College High School, Litzy Acevedo Gama. And from Davie County High School, Ashton Cox. So ladies and gentlemen, these are our Holiday Art Contest winners. They submitted their artwork to our office, and we had a voting competition in the office to vote which ones that we wanted to have featured on our Christmas card. So what we have now is a video, and boys and girls, as your artwork comes up on the screen up there, if you'll just step forward and everyone in the room will know which one is your artwork. So technology crew, can we run the video? Congratulations, students. Congratulations, families. I know you're really proud of your students. Now I'd like to announce each of our winners from the different categories. In the high school category, our winner is Litzy Acevedo Gama. Litzy, come on up. Our middle school winner, Isabel Bracken, North Davie Middle School. And our elementary school winner, and featured on the front of our holiday card this year, from William R. Davie, Cameron Bullard. Each of our winners in those categories received a gift card. And families, over to the side, before you leave, if you would take your child's artwork that we have displayed up here. And behind their artwork are 5 copies of the holiday card from Davie County Schools with our students' artwork on the front and all the students' artwork on the back. So congratulations to all of you. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. Who's hoping for snow this weekend? Superintendents love snow on the weekend. Thank you. Congratulations.
Next item on the agenda is our consent agenda, and I will entertain a motion. I have a motion by Ms. Horn. I have a second by Colonel Hills. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor? Motion carries. You in favor? One abstention. 6. Okay. Next item on the agenda is public address.
And board members, there are no members of the public that have more to say. I know we've gotten to hear some wonderful things during this warm and wonderful holiday season, and I'm sure they have many things they will tell you in the new year.
Great. Turn it over to Dr. Hartness for policy updates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board members, before you are some policy updates that were brought to the board last month. Ms. Smith and Mr. Carroll, I know you have not had an opportunity to review these, so we would not expect you to be briefed on all of these policy changes, but periodically, typically in the spring and the fall, Davie County Schools has a service from the North Carolina School Boards Association, a policy and legal services subscription. And there are attorneys at the School Board Association who review our policies and review policy manuals across the state, and they make recommendations of updates to board policy so that they're matched with general statutes or changes by the legislature, or that there are other changes in the law or just grammatical corrections. So most of these are standard updates that we received in the fall update. When I get those updates, if they're related to human resources or operations, I send those through Mr. Wallace's office. If they're a curricular matter, they go through our curriculum department with Ms. Haynes. And our staff reviews those policies before we bring those to the board. And the process has been that we'll bring those for the board for information in 1 month. In the following month, the board would then be asked to consider adopting those policies. So, Mr. Chairman, I did not receive any questions related to these policies in the past month, so they are presented by staff for your consideration of approval.
Board members, it would be only fair unless our new board members were provided these in advance, that if they choose to abstain, your policy probably, I believe, I haven't read it, requires you to allow them to abstain. But I would assume that by acclamation, we would allow them to abstain, considering they haven't had an opportunity to read them.
Need a motion to approve? Have a motion by Colonel Hills, have a second by Mr. Drexler. Any more discussion, questions? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0 with 2 abstentions. Perfect. 502. Got it. Next item on the agenda is the property and casualty insurance coverage, and I will turn that back over to Dr. Hartness.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Back in October, our Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Miller, came to me and we talked about putting out for review our district property and casualty insurance policies. Those were scheduled to be renewed in January of 2019. So in October 2018, upon some recommendations from colleagues, Ms. Miller acquired the services of McNeary Consulting Firm. They specialize in reviewing complicated insurance policies across the state and have worked with other school districts in reviewing policies. And they put out specifications for what we have in our property and casualty insurance policies. And you will see the summary of proposals that were received and reviewed by McNary in November. They provided that summary of proposals and a recommendation for their service. After careful review, we have an insurance carrier who has proposed significant savings and broader insurance coverage. And this time we would ask the board to consider accepting the recommendation of McNary Services and staff to award our insurance business to their recommended firm. I will say before you vote that Davie County Schools has worked with Cincinnati Insurance for all the time that I've been here, and Johnson Insurance Services for many, many years. And I can't say enough good things about the service that we have received from this local company who has served Davie County Schools extremely well. The relationship we have, it's a matter of picking up a call and calling Bill or Penny or anyone over there when we have an issue that's arise, and they've always been so responsive to Davie County Schools. The recommendation by McNeary is to move our insurance coverage to Surrey Insurance at a significant savings. So while the customer service and the relationships we've had are significant, the tremendous savings by moving our insurance coverage is not something I think the board should ignore.
Any questions? I will entertain a motion.
I do have one quick question. We have other coverages with Surrey at this time, is that correct?
Yes, we have a cyber insurance policy and I believe our workers' comp, so.
And I have never heard of any problems dealing with them. I
They have
believe you would have told
many,
us if it would.
many school district accounts as well.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
A motion by Colonel Hills, have a second. Second by Mr. Drexler. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 6, you abstained? 601. Thank you. And I will reiterate what you said with Johnson Insurance. I had a conversation with Bill Johnson and just gracious and how much of an honor it's been to serve this community and the school system, and he's wished us all the best. Next item on the agenda is committee staff reports, and turn it over to Jeff Wallace for the school calendar.
Thank you, Chairman Junker. Board, in your packet there, you will see 2 calendars that was worked on over the dates that are listed there, November the 7th and 28th by we had a lively group this year with a lot of wonderful ideas. And but we had a good spirited discussions on both occasions, and we did come out with a couple of options. As I have shared with you in the past, it's unfortunate, but the calendars are very similar because of the bookends that we do deal with. But I do want to bring your attention to both calendars. When we, as the law permits, we may start school on the Monday closest to August 26, wherever that lands. This year, both calendars, again, the committee decided that we would not start school until Wednesday of that week. And most of you have either been a part of school or had children. You understand summer, then 5 straight days of school can be difficult on everyone, just a change of pace. So also, I want to make note that in both calendars, you will see 6 work days this year instead of 5. And that came from a colleague, Ms. Haynes, met with a group of pretty much every school. And what we have heard was the first week of school is so busy with meetings and various things. And so we've tried to honor that request as well. And the calendar committee did agree to that. So again, a few differences in there which are listed. And I will be glad to entertain any questions or anything that you may have. But I'd like to present these to you as information. And then our staff across the district will have a chance to vote on those starting December the 6th. And then I will bring that recommendation back to you next month. Any questions?
I got a comment. I think that looking at option 2 with regard to spring break next year, I think it's a good idea to have it in April versus March this past year. And I think a lot of parents would probably agree with me too. You know, March is not necessarily a good time to go to the beach, whereas April would be more appealing. Plus, if you look at that, it also encompasses Easter, which is a good thing too. So, just my thoughts.
Mr. Hales, you're exactly right, and I will give you a couple of comments there. And again, some of you being educators, what happens after first semester ends in January? You see there late January. And then you go into February and in March and in April and May, and you may be in school for about 6 to 8 weeks. So the spring break is strategically thought through and located where you try to give kids a break and give staff a break. Now, to your point about being in April and tying it to Easter, great point, which is what a lot of our staff agree with. If you take a look at option 1 and you do see that spring break is located in March, but you also see in April tied to Easter, you could get another mini break a Friday, and a Monday. So that, and this year, current calendar that we're in, the spring break is much earlier, which is similar to this calendar. Yes. But that was part of the spirited debate, there, Mr. Hales. So, but point well taken. Good point.
Mr. Wallace, when you meet with the calendar committee that will make a recommendation to us, would you just have some conversation with them about what would happen if Davie County schools would be allowed to be a little bit more flexible and start the school year prior to this Monday in August so that we could finish with our first semester and so forth before the Christmas break? And the reason I ask that is because there's a lot of discussion. Every time we go to these state meetings, that a lot of us say, we want that option, we want that option. And I'd just like to hear what staff says about that. Not bringing us won't affect their business action, but for the interest, and it'd be a good group to get their opinions.
Mr. Potts, topic number 2 for the spirited debate. That's topic number 2 for the spirited conversation we've already had.
I guess we're on a roll over here. What do
You
you
are
think?
rolling. You know, you get to move closer and things just work out. I spoke to some of the executive staff. We talked about some of our neighbors are starting school earlier. So Ms. Pryor in my office, who works diligently with this calendar, I asked her to call around. Ms. Foyle, who's in the audience, she had approached me about that. And we did call and say, Iredell County, which I have some folks, friends there, who approved this? Well, our board approved it. What about what the law says with the General Assembly? And we got permission. So I never could get a firm answer. So here's where we landed. I did share all of that with the calendar committee of some of the districts that are starting sooner. And they're categorizing themselves or calling themselves as year-round schools. Now, one county did admit to me that their attorney says, I disagree with what you're doing because I think you're not being coherent, if you were not coherent, or correlating or coordinating or aligning with the spirit of year-round schools. But I'm curious to see what happens. And I have not spoken to Ms. Wilson about this, but at the same time, the calendar committee did agree to get back together in February or March to start looking at the possibility of becoming a year-round, or having a year-round calendar, which with our summer camps and a few things, we could possibly do that. So and that will also see what happens with the General Assembly, if there's any pushback with these counties that have decided to do a year-round calendar and start school early August, but just with the natural deadlines or natural breaks that you're talking about, Mr. Potts. I do agree with that, and that committee felt very strongly that is just a natural break or a better timeline, if you will. So again, and let me back up at one step. The communities or the counties that have acquired or are going to use the year-round did do some communicating with their parents, surveyed parents. So I would expect to most likely come back to you in maybe March, somewhere in there, to say the committee has decided that let's move out and do some surveys and talk with parents and notify them of our intentions and get feedback. So I think you would get a general consensus that most folks like that calendar.
Thank you. A lot of work. Next item on the agenda is the Golden Leaf Foundation grant update, and Jenda Haynes. And Anthony Davis.
I was going to say, and Anthony Davis.
I was waiting for him to move.
Good evening, Chairman Junker, board members, guests. We are excited to come and share with you an update on the Golden Leaf Grant opportunity. As you will recall, the Golden Leaf Grant is approximately $200,000, and this began the summer of 2017 and will move us into fall of 2019, and hopefully our technology is going to come up momentarily. While this grant is titled Innovative Spaces in Instruction in STEM and CTE, I do want you to see and note as we go through this update that this grant touches all classrooms and teachers across Davie County High School, or at least has the opportunity to. And so we're pleased with what what opportunities are provided through these funds. Do I need to do something?
Did they all get it? Did you send the presentation?
No, just to you and Eddie.
You're gonna have to ad lib for a minute.
You want me to pull it up?
Yeah, can you do that? Yeah.
Hold on, I can pull it from where I sent it. Okay. Thank you for being patient. No. It's being a little bit slow pulling up sent.
Mhm.
Here we go. You good? Okay.
And then you go ahead and run it full screen. You'll control it from here.
Okay, here we go. All right, so just to revisit the purpose and overview pretty quickly, just to remind you a little bit about the Golden Leaf Grant. As Donna McNeil and I started with the Golden Leaf Grant application, we were continuing to hear from CTE Business Advisory, from our STEM Alliance, from our community leaders and businesses, the two critical areas for our students to continue to grow are technical skills and soft skills. That's what everybody's looking for. And so those are two areas that we really wanted to target with this opportunity. So when we look at, no, we're not clicking, here we go. When we look at how this application was proposed, there are really it's a two-pronged approach. One is in targeting learning spaces and resources and really developing CTE labs, a STEM innovation lab, the resources that we need within those spaces. And then the other prong, the other piece of that is professional development, and that's really what we're getting into this year.
One of the things that Dr. Hartness had mentioned is the direction that Davie County Schools is headed, and this is a big part of that. The idea that we're adding to things and trying to make our programs as forward-thinking as possible. When you look at our aquaponics greenhouse, it's amazing. It's cutting edge. It's something we're very, very excited about. We do have fish now, so we actually have fish in our aquaponics greenhouse. We're excited about that through a partnership with someone in the community. We have koi fish there, and that will help, of course, with the fertilization of our horticulture classes, being able to get in there and grow some plants in the springs. We're very, very excited about the direction that this is going. We currently serve 98 students in that program, and we hope to continue to see that program grow. So we're very, very excited about that. We also have our patient simulator, and again, something that is definitely cutting edge. This is something that you see in hospitals, you see it in schools of nursing. This is something, again, that is something very, very, very good for our students to be able to get involved in, to be able to do that. Now, I will have to say this is a very complicated piece of machinery, and we are still working on learning the ins and outs about how to use it, but it does give our future nursing students the opportunity to do some things in their classrooms they were not able to do before. And of course, you guys, most of you got to experience this opportunity tonight with what Ms. Hinkle's doing in our ProStart lab. Just amazing, the things that she's able to produce out of that lab. And again, it's thanks to this grant that we're able to get this industrial kitchen in there, and the things that they're able to do. These pictures just show some of the things that they're able to do. You look at the board association that came and their regional meeting there at Davie High School, Again, phenomenal presentation tonight. You saw for Dr. Hartness the things that Ms. Hinkle was able to do. So it's really, really, again, a good opportunity for our students to learn skills that they can use later in life. And these are certifications that they're getting that will be able to help them. One thing I do have to say, we did finally, one of the things Ms. Hinkle asked for was a faucet sprayer, because she said that's one thing that was not in there. So thanks to Mr. Spillman and Mr. Selecki, they helped us get that installed in that lab as well. So that was really a good partnership with them as well. So everybody is getting involved in this.
And then the other space regarding facilities and capital outlay is the STEM Innovation Lab. And the STEM Innovation Lab is actually set up within one of the science classrooms or the existing lab spaces there. And it's a space that is available for any teacher to sign up and bring their classes to come and do project-based learning. All sorts of equipment already stocked in this space, everything from Google Expeditions to general lab equipment, a weather station, to monitor there, just a variety of equipment there for students to use. We actually were able to use the STEM Innovation Lab for our STEM pipeline camp in June, so even bringing our middle schoolers in to use that space. This fall, we got both the saltwater and the freshwater aquariums set up, and at this point, we are reassessing what the needs are to see what other equipment we need to purchase for that space. Again, the focus this year has really turned to professional development because most of the capital outlay, most of the facility and equipment pieces were taken care of over the course of last year. So sticking with the concept of the STEM Innovation Lab, most recently at Davie Experience 6, all of Davie High School certified staff were trained with some of the equipment in the STEM Innovation Lab, and this is something that they really took ownership of. So Mr. Nicholson's staff, his technology leaders, some of his science leaders, Hugh Lee, Kathy Melius, Colin Farabee, who was with us earlier tonight, and Ann Davis provided training for all the teachers at Davie High School. So this was a hands-on opportunity for them to go from station to station and rotate around and learn how to use the equipment and how it would apply or could apply in their classroom content.
We also had the opportunity to embark on some problem or project-based learning with Dana Lauer. Dana Lauer used to work with the Buck Institute, which they are very well known across the nation for PBL, and she actually started her own company. It's called Project ARC, and ARC stands for Authentic, Relevant, and Complex Learning, and that's really what we're wanting to get our students to do. So we had staff members from CTE and STEM to come in on August the 16th, which is before everybody was supposed to report. They came in and they participated in this training, and it went really, really well. We have some things that are scheduled in the spring and again next fall as follow-up with that, and we want to continue to see our teachers push toward, having this problem or project-based learning so that they're solving real-world problems.
I do want to note before we leave this slide, if you see the picture here, and this is a picture from the PBL training, when you look at the table and you look at the teachers who are working together, we have Mr. Robinson from the math department, Tana Caudle from English department, Angie Stage from science department, and then we have Ms. Hinkle and Mr. Mars, and I'm not sure if there's another person there in the corner, but what I want you to see is that we have teachers from various departments working together. So this is providing a real opportunity for some cross-curricular work that we're excited about.
And then as we move forward, just as Jenda had mentioned earlier, is that we see that our businesses are telling us that our students need to work on soft skills. We need to work on those skills that will help them become employable. Those things, there's something as simple as knowing that you're not supposed to be on your phone at work, or how to address someone in an interview, those sorts of things. So we brought Elaine Atherton in, who has provided PD for us before, to work with staff, and she's worked with them multiple times since then. And again, just trying to push forward on some things that we're hearing from our community and our businesses, that these are some trainings that need to occur. So we're trying to provide that for our teachers so that they can provide that for our students.
Okay, so just for a quick budget update, you will see with the 3 bullets at the top, the 3 main categories for the budget for this grant are capital outlay, things like the greenhouse, equipment, and then professional development. So those are the 3 areas. Again, most of the capital outlay and equipment funds have been spent. We will be adding some additional equipment, just some moving and some adjustment of that, but most of what's left to wrap up is professional development. So when you look at the table there at the bottom, you'll see our expenditures versus our remaining balance. We've spent about 70% of the funds thus far. And again, we'll be wrapping this up at the beginning of next year, next fall. So as far as impact, Golden Leaf is very involved in helping us establish our goals when we have a grant associated with them. So they really, again, were involved in this. They want to see that we are increasing the number of students who are completing a career pathway, who are earning credentials, particularly in the 3 areas that we have invested funds with this grant, that they're completing job shadowing and internships and pre-apprenticeships, and they also look at that career and college promise, as well as always taking a look at our EOC proficiencies, our EVOS, our growth, and our graduation rate. So we want to share with you a few things to celebrate at this point as far as the process is concerned.
We're very excited to see that a lot of growth in our CTE department. We already have a great CTE department that's there, and we just continue to hopefully make it better. We're working, and we can see here that in 2018, at the end of the year, 48% of our graduates were CTE concentrators that completed a pathway, and that's a lot to celebrate when you've got almost 50% of your students doing that. Also looking that we have credentialing. That's a big thing with CTE, making sure that these students leave school with credentials that they can take into the business world and actually use, and we'll give them a leg up. We had a 36% increase in credentialing this past year. We increased it to 1,463 credentials. So that, again, that's a big feat. And then we also see that specifically in agriculture, culinary studies, and health science, we have a 36% increase in internships and work-based learning. So we're trying to get our students out there and get them relevant learning opportunities, work-based learning opportunities as often as we can.
So as far as the next steps, again, we'll be continuing the professional development throughout this spring and then going into the beginning of next year. We are reaching out to the Friday Institute and seeking some specific professional development to help us target support for some of our EOC courses. We are revisiting our equipment list, and we'll be spending the remaining funds for equipment. And then again, we will continue tracking the data, reporting every six months to Golden Leaf until we complete this project next fall. So at this point, we will address any questions you might have.
I would just like to say that the high percentage of CTE has just grown so drastically in the last few years, and I think that is a wonderful thing, because everybody's not going to college. But yet what we're doing now, what it appears to me, is providing them a path, providing them a trade that, should they not go on to bigger and better, but go out and be part of the workforce, then we're giving them those credentials to do that. And that is a wonderful thing. And if I understand, if I remember correctly, that was like 40-some% that were CTE, which just blows my mind. I'd never have thought that CTE would have grown to the extent that they've grown. And they've got there because of grants and taking the time and then putting in the work and the effort and so forth of what you've done now has created that difference. So that is huge in terms of doing right with education in Davie County. So thank you for that.
Thank you. It's incredible.
Mr. Chairman, before we move on and we wrap that up, I want to say one more thing, too. I failed to recognize a really important person at the table tonight. That's Ms. Tammy Naylor. She's our interim chief financial officer, and she has taken over as of December 1st upon the resignation of our CFO. Tammy has a long history in our school system. Her first job was an auditor, an outside auditor with Davie County Schools, and she told me that Dr. Steed hired her, so we've come full circle. She's going to be working with Dr. Steed again in January. Tammy is a respected member of our staff, has been with us a long time, and so many people trust her wisdom and experience, and we're just thrilled to have her in the finance office, so welcome, Tammy.
Absolutely. Very fortunate, as I told you earlier, for someone local that we trust that can step in and continue where we're going. The same with Dr. Steed as well. We're just very fortunate. With that, thank you again. And thank you, guys. And just need a motion to adjourn. Nobody wants to go? Have a motion by Mr. Potts. Have a second. I have a second by Ms. Horn. All those in favor? Finally get a 7-0. Congratulations again to you guys, and have a great evening.